Hello, folks, and welcome to the Upland Forum, where we showcase the movers, shakers, makers, and visionaries building something bold in our beautiful Upland community. Tonight, I have the pleasure, and we are going to be joined by someone whose words actually speak louder, whose work actually speaks louder than words. Geez, I don't know what's wrong with me today. I want to welcome here very shortly Christina Clarke, owner and creative mind behind Monstera Lissome Photography, and we're going to talk about more about the name also. Try to say that 3 times real quick, right? We are definitely going to be talking about, her pathway from branding shoots to bold portraits. I mean, Christina takes pictures. Not only just takes pictures, she captures purpose. Her confidence behind the camera helps people step into who they truly are, right? So let's get ready for a conversation on art, identity, and building. Just a great overall business concept. So let me bring on, without further ado, Christina. How you doing? Or Chris, as I call you, right? So I'm just going to call you Chris. So
I do like Chris a lot better. But
all right.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the awesome introduction.
No, this has been a long time coming, and let me just start by just saying I've known Chris now for quite a few years. And if you guys don't know this, which you guys already should know this, actually, all the photographs that you've seen during my campaigns, from council to Senate campaigns, to my doggies, to my family, this is the lady that makes all the magic happen, right? And this is the lady also that it always thinks outside of the box for those really awesome, unusual shots. And where sometimes I remember it when we first started, right? Talking about, you want me to do what? You want me to do it where? There's a great photo, I think, in my Instagram somewhere there, where she actually captured me standing close to the train track with having the train coming right by. And it was like the perfect moment and a perfect shot. And I'm like, you want me to do what? Right?
I was like, well, you're going to be councilman, so we can get away with it. Now's the time.
Right. So, hey, let's start by digging in and talking about you. Let's tell us the story behind the name, the current photography name that you have. Like, how did it all start?
So it's a really interesting situation that kind of sprung from a challenging life change. So I recently gotten a divorce after about 19 years of marriage, and I didn't want to have so much of who I was be attached to the business name and my purpose and my plan. So I went through a complete rebranding, and I ended up going with Monstera because me and my current fiance, we were out looking for plants, and we were looking for aggressive plants, like plants that are just in your face. One right behind me. And he said, that's you. You're the aggressive plant. You're the grower. And so Monstera came from that. And Lissome is like slender and graceful. So those two things, aggressive and graceful together, I think is really what my brand is all about.
And one of the key things that I don't want to put a spotlight on, but I'm going to, is the fact that personal story you just shared with us on there. I want folks to know that what they see is what they get. It's very similar to, like, I think why you and I connect very well. You're always very open. You don't hold back. You're very transparent. And I think that's a quality also that's phenomenal in business, because people can relate to you. You're not out there just making a quick buck, a quick sale, a quick photograph, and you're done. It's that personal connection, the personal stories. I think that folks why they gravitate towards you, right? And I'm going to ask you some more questions about this, but let me ask you, when did you first realize photography was more than just a hobby, that it was your calling?
I always was drawn to like imagery and photographs. I was a huge metalhead as a kid. And then as I got older, I got really steeped into like all of the guitar magazines, all of the MTV. So like visuals have always been like my draw. I actually picked up my first camera when I was 17. And I just started playing with it when I realized that there was a challenge to take a picture and actually get the image that you were seeing through your eyes. There was like this big disparity between the two that set my brain off. And that's where it really happened. I would say in my mid-20s. Yeah. When I finally took my camera off of auto and said, I'm going to really try to figure this thing out.
You know, a lot of folks don't really know this, but I think the first time I think I ever met you, actually, what got us our conversation started was talking about metal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of folks know that I'm actually also a metalhead. I love all that crazy stuff, mosh pits and all of that. And I think that's the initial connection you had talking about bands. And I'm like, have you seen this band? Are you going to go see this other band?
Yeah.
And it's always a misunderstood genre, I think, right? And you correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, people think metalheads and think you're like, oh, all these potheads and stuff like that. And it's not that. It's kind of it's a way of you know, music does a lot for people, not only in metal, but in just different genres, depending on what you're feeling, right? Like you in photography, you can take a photo of a dog. You can have a dog, you know, almost capture them in the moment with your smile, but depending on the kind of music background you play, can either that dog's going to make you cry out of that photograph, or it's going to make you really smile and happy, you know?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that correlation of music and photography really go hand in hand. And I want you to also, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit, but you're an artist on all different levels, not just photography. I want you to talk a little bit about your other endeavors, if you will,
Yeah.
and where you have them displayed, because that's also very important.
Well, I've always written. I've actually been a writer much longer than I've been a photographer. I started writing when I was about 10, and poetry, like actual, like putting words together and writing them down and conveying feelings into words. That was like my first venture into art. I do that. I also paint, and I kind of mix the two now. There's a lot of mixing of the what's the word I'm looking for? Mediums. So my first book, my first poetry zine was actually published recently, and it's called Revelations and Salutations. And
I didn't even know that. Man, you're holding on to me. I didn't even know that.
I'll give you one of the books. It's really interesting. It's a little bit unnerving because it's really like intense and personal. And I think going back to what you said earlier, I think at the end of the day, like we all have to sleep with ourselves at night, right?
Right.
So like if I go through the day and I'm just, you know, throwing out nonsense, or I'm putting on a mask, or I feel like I have to perform, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. Like I've got to go to bed. And in order to do that, I've got to be myself. So as scary as it is, it's very scary. I just have to. It's like a compulsion. So, but yeah.
So let me take it a little bit of a step further too. I've seen your work firsthand. I mean, the photographies and stuff, and I'm going to put as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and do that now. Folks, this is her website. Make sure you guys connect. You can follow her there. You can follow her on social media, her Instagram and all of that. And over the years, I've seen a lot of the photography that you've done, some of the artwork that you've done as well too. Tell us a little bit about, I mean, some of your photos have this bold yet calming energy, right? Tell us, how would you describe, as an artist and photographer, how would you describe your style?
I some of it I would say is pretty raw. I like the idea of art for the sake of art. So like there was something that I just felt compelled to do, and it was a part of my I believe it was my Life on Fire series. And it was just like a series, I think you've seen them, like the series of doll heads, and some of them are on fire, and they're eyeless, and it's just very strange. And it provokes feeling. Some people, they look and they're just like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And some people are like, I'm not okay with that.
Right.
But it comes out. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's some things that I just like, I think a lot and I'm an overthinker and I want to convey that. I need to say something and I have to get it out. And if somebody happens to see it, fantastic. Then somebody else knows that they're not this like island alone thinking like obsessively about life and where we're going and why we're here and why we feel so deeply, you know. Not everybody feels that way, but there are a lot of us out there. And it is strange because a lot of them happen to be metalheads, you know. We do feel, you know, there's strong presence of spirit and soul and things that don't fall into black and white. It's a wonderful life, man. And I just try to convey that in my art.
So talking about that, I know you work with business owners. You've obviously worked with politicians as well, your everyday clients. How do you adapt your creative approach to each one?
That's interesting. So that's a totally different hat. My goal, especially like when I'm working with you or if I'm working with families, is to tap into your energy. So instead of being like introspective, I become like a parasite, if you will. Like I kind of get in there and I try to bore my way into your head and kind of see things from your perspective. Like what do you like? Like where are you at? And it makes it easy when I work with families like I do. Like I've gotten really lucky. I've gotten all of my families are open. They have personality. They have it's all out there. And I don't know if that's luck. I don't know if that's like energies matching. I don't know. But that's one of the things that helps me, especially with politicians. I think that there's just like this grand idea that a politician has to be polished and robotic and this way or that way. It's almost like that Instagram face that they talk about, you know, everybody looks the same, everybody acts the same. But I don't think every politician is like that. And I think that that personality is what's going to get them into the people's homes and their hearts, and recognizing what this politician is about is through that openness. So I try to tap into that. I really try to tap into the energy first and then have the photographs follow. So I think I go about it the wrong way. Like a lot of people go looks first, everything looks first.
Right.
Energy, maybe if you're lucky, but it's always energy first for me. And then the images are always reflect that.
Before I make my next comment, because it's going to align with what I'm going to ask you is, and you kind of touched on that a little bit, is what do you do to help clients feel confident, comfortable in front of the camera? Because I know you've come across those shy ones, right? The reason I'm asking this too is because I'm going to make a statement after you answer that question as well too, because I'm living proof of that. So
yeah, oh yeah. I actually okay, you're not gonna believe this, but I really was I was a painfully shy kid. And I didn't talk at all. Like that, like the consensus with my aunts and uncles and everybody that I was raised around was that I was painfully quiet. So it wasn't just like I was like a quiet kid. I was like painfully quiet. Like nobody would know that I was around. I was like a fly on the wall. And then it was through my years of experiencing like normal childhood experiences that I developed this almost like, you know what? You don't like me anyway, so I might as well just be myself and
right.
be happy. This is where that I gotta sleep at night comes from. And I think that happened when I was around 12. I experienced bullying pretty bad, and it changed me for the better. it really pushed me into my core. And I said, yeah, like this is who I am with no apologies. And so I operate from that. And I think that I'm able to make people feel more comfortable being themselves, not who I want them to be or who I want them to act like. I want them to be themselves. That's not always smiling. That, I mean, if I get a smile, great, you know, but sometimes the most beautiful look on a person's face is just really who they are and how they operate. And it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will tell you, one of the biggest things that I appreciate about you is that authenticity, that you really bring out certain things from when you're doing a photo shoot. I know that we've gone through several different photo shoots on different occasions. I think one of the ones, and what I remember is always you telling me to just be you with that. And anybody that knows me knows I'm a pretty serious guy for the most part, unless you get to know me. I'm kind of a goofball anyway, but I'm one of those guys that's just not going to smile just to smile for a photo op, because I think it's phony coming from me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and I think you remember when I told you in the beginning, I said, if you're gonna have me smile, you have to catch me at the right time, man, because it's like you better be ready, because I'm not gonna do it because I want to do it, you know. And that was the other thing that I remember you saying to me too, because we had one event, or one photo shoot where, you know, folks were advising me just to be this smile constantly and this and that, which felt completely out of the norm, you know, not that natural look. And I remember you also calling me out on it, which was great, you know, because not a lot of people will tell you the right thing. They'll tell you what you want to hear. And in your environment, it's about, like we just talked about, making the, for lack of better words, the subject feel comfortable, right? Feeling comfortable in who they are, and that's how you're going to capture their true essence, their true self as well too, which is also very important, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that if you're not tapping into the essence of who somebody is, you've lost the plot, you know? I do think that there are a lot of people that make a ton more money than I do because they're aesthetics focused. It's the same. It's like what are they? Assembly line photos. If you took this family, looks like this family,
Yeah.
looks like this family, ABC, winning formula, no matter what, great, you know. Um, I can't operate like that. I just, legacy is so important. It's important to you. I want you and your grandkids, you know, uh, to look back at photos of you and say, I remember that look. I remember when he would do his eyebrow like that. And when he looked over here, I remember when he would like upturn his mouth a little bit when he was talking. Those things are not manufactured, and they can't be manufactured. That only comes from realness. That only comes from comfort. That's it.
No, you're absolutely right. So you've been going through this now for a while, and I want you to take a moment to think about uh, and share with us a powerful or memorable shoot that really like stuck with you, or still to this day sticks with you.
Oh, well, there's a couple, and it's not like the happiest. I've been lucky enough to be invited into spaces of difficulty with photographs. I'm not going to say personally who it was because this
Right.
photo shoot was intensely personal. But I did have to photograph a baby who had passed on.
Oh
And that
wow.
meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to the person that I did it for. I did not share the photos with anybody else. I made it extremely private. It was not anything to be uh,
Right.
marketed, sold, talked about, except obviously in this space. Uh, that was extremely memorable. It still means a lot to me. It was just such a blessing to be able to be there for somebody that really needed me to be there. And then for the other time that really stuck with me, I had somebody that stepped into my life at a young age, and her name was Mama Vicky, is what we call her. And she was on hospice, and I photographed her and her biological children and her grandchildren before she passed on. So that was something that was super deep, and that still to this day is is intensely held dear. Um, those are the things you can't. There is no
Right.
seconds. Yeah.
Right.
So pretty intense stuff, but those are the
Yeah.
ones that stick out to me. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. And folks, if you're just joining us, you got to watch the beginning of this to this broadcast. You got to, see what Chris is all about. She is the real deal. I have her website there on the screen as well. So make sure you follow her on Instagram as well too. And once you connect with her, I'm telling you, it's just it's not like any other photographer. You mentioned the assembly line. Yeah, we've all gone through that. The whole high school picture stuff, going through the pose this and all of that. I want to leave you. I want to ask you one last question, because time flies when you're having fun, and I realize we've been at this, for a little bit over 20 minutes now. But
Oh wow,
um,
time flies,
what's
man.
exactly, exactly? And there's so much more. There's so many additional questions I want to ask you, but I may save that for a part two on this too. So
Oh
if you're tuning in, make sure that you are following the Upland Forum and hashtag the Upland Forum, and make sure that you're also if you're a business, make sure that you also reach out to me too, because I love, especially here in Upland, I would love to spotlight you here as a business in Upland. So please reach out to me for that. But my next question to you is, what's next for you? What's next for the brand? What's next for Chris as a person, as an artist?
That's interesting. There's a lot going on. I've got a really cool thing coming up next week. I don't really do weddings. I have a small civil union that I'm doing next week on the 13th. I'm super pumped about. Still working with the same recurring clients. So keeping my awesome repeat business. I love you guys so much. Like it really is the light of my life to have people that have been coming to me, and I'm talking like 6 years now, and the people that took a chance on me in the beginning that are still coming back is amazing. Just keeping going onward and upward, using my photography to help Friends of Upland Animal Shelter, keeping on doing that every year, using my talents to spread awareness for awesome things like that. And hopefully there might be something in the works with people who have special needs to highlight how much they do need funding and how much they do need support and arts and love and all of that stuff. So just more love, man.
I said that was the last question, but you brought up a very good point, and I could not let you go without asking you. I know you don't like to brag about the stuff that you do for the community, but you just brought up special needs and all of that. Tell us how what your vision is to help to some of these folks, some of these organizations, because I know you and I are in talks of potentially developing something special for some folks as well.
Oh yeah. One of the things that I've noticed personally, I work with families with special needs in their homes also, one of my many hats. But I've noticed that a lot of families don't have family photos, especially ones that have children with special needs. They don't have portraits of their children that have special needs and all of that. I want to change that dynamic completely. Like I want to bring that out. I don't know, and I don't even know why. Like it's okay. Like we can put ourselves out there and we can show our beautiful families, regardless of the special abilities that they have, regardless of if
Absolutely.
they're going to run around, or if they have autism, if they have a struggle to sit down. It's okay. You get the right photographer and those pictures are going to turn out amazing. Every person's personality deserves to be photographed. These kids, these adults that have special needs, they deserve to be remembered. They deserve to have those portraits. So hopefully we can get together and make that happen for a lot of families.
And on top of that too, I know that you work very closely, and you're going to work on a couple of projects that I've reached out for your help with our veterans as well too. So I look forward to connecting. And this actually is going to be part two of our interview at some point when we get all this stuff dialed up and check in and see where you are. How can the community continue to help? And folks, like I said before, reach out to Christina, reach out to me. I'll make sure I'll give you her contact information and send it out. But this is somebody that really has a passion, not only for you as an individual, but for your families as well too. And I think with you guys watching this interview, hopefully that's actually come across, because that was the whole purpose of me wanting Chris to come up here and do this, because I've known her personally. I know her character. I know who she is as a person and how giving she is too, not only with her family, but also within the community as well. So with that said, I want to give you a big, it's a huge thanks to Chris for being here with us tonight and just sharing this creative spark with the Upland Forum. I mean, your work through your photography just reminds us of the confidence, authenticity, and beauty can all exist in a single frame. And sometimes all it takes is one photo to change how someone sees themselves, period. So to our audience, whether you're building a brand or capturing a life moment, Chris is the creative force you want behind the lens. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep showing up, keep creating, and keep supporting the artists who help us see life more clearly. Thank you.